Having played the game before and having played the game recently, I can tell you there are fewer cheaters now than there used to be. There are still still a problem, but Ricochet is definitely doing something. So kudos to them for that.
For ad-free episodes, as well as early access and bonus episodes, check out our Patreon. Free trials are available.
Activision devs do not play their own game.
3,000 devs can't figure out how to add a reconnect feature to a AAA title, I guess. I don't know.
Because Infinity Ward doesn't tell their consumers anything.
Maybe that'll take some of the sweats away from Shoot House.
You can cope about that, for sure.
Thanks for tweeting, at least. Thanks for doing more than Infinity Ward has done. They just keep tweeting about the soccer bundles in the store.
Things that are bad. We've got a couple words. Why don't you kick it off, Tanner?
This is going to be a longer section than the first part you guys heard.
Change it, obviously, of course. We are live, boys and girls. Welcome to the Dropshot Call of Duty podcast, episode number 337. Oh, nice. The kick activity feed works. Wee lad. Thanks for the follow, buddy. Nice. My name is Casey, also known as Razinon. Today, as usual, I'm joined by young Tanner, who's in half chill mode, not full chill mode, but we're in half chill mode. What's going on there?
I'm sick.
Are you sick?
Yeah, Sierra got me sick, so
oh, no.
I have a
That's
super sore throat.
Bitch. How did she get sick? At an event?
I mean, we basically both got sick. She must have got something on the plane.
Her fault. She bit the
or
apple.
after. I don't know. But now I was fine up until like last night, and now I'm sick too. So pretty cool, yeah.
It's not great.
Pretty awesome, yeah.
Not great for you. Sore throat? That's the worst symptom too.
That's all I have right now, yep.
Damn. Yeah.
Yep, the worst.
It actually doesn't get worse, and we've talked about this, of course. I would rather have a stomach flu. I'd rather have diarrhea. I'd rather be vomiting. I'd rather have a migraine, even.
Same.
Probably. The thing with me for migraines is the migraine pills actually work for me. And some people they don't.
I'd rather,
work
yeah.
for. But
I'd
like
rather get shot in the hand or something, I think.
That definitely than a sore throat for sure. Because just
it's
existing is
worst.
painful.
And there's nothing you can do. You're just fucked.
There isn't anything you can do. And the sore throat remedy industrial complex is a psyop. None of it works.
They don't
Cough
work.
drops
Correct.
don't work. Numbing spray doesn't work. The fucking goofy home recipe brew that your grandma makes for you also doesn't work. Nothing works. Nothing will get better, and life is suffering. That's what sore throats are. They
I
really
took
are.
Dayquil. I took ibuprofen. I have a cough drop in right now. Nothing helps.
Yeah.
You can't do anything.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just and still every time I have a sore throat, I do all that dumb shit anyway, just as a cope, knowing it's not going to work. It's a cope.
It's copium, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, having a sore throat is, it's worse than childbirth, I would imagine.
I might rather be thrown in Abu Ghraib than go to, than get a sore throat. Yeah. So anyway, welcome to the show. Today, we are not talking about illnesses or anything of the kind. We are talking about Call of Duty. We're back with another news pod. It's been a while, but we are here. We're back in the saddle again. Okay. And we have a couple things to talk about today. So, yeah, as I just said, it's been 2 weeks since we did a news pod, so we have a couple of things to go over here. Not too terribly much has happened in terms of like changes or news or events or anything of the kind, but there have been a couple things. We're going to go over those. Quickly, I'll add as well, we are not going to go over every news item from 14 days ago to 7 days ago. We're going to kind of restrict this to what's happened in the last week as if this were a normal pod. So we may have missed some things and not talked about some things that happened 10 days ago or whatever. But all the big stuff that did happen back then, we talked about on Saturday. So don't be alarmed. And we didn't, there's nothing huge we're neglecting to discuss in terms of changes or news. So with that said, let's get into this. Before we start, we've got a couple little announcements. And we got a couple new patrons. So this is 2 weeks worth of new patrons. And for 14 days, I'm going to go ahead and say this is a solid little showing. It's a solid excursion. Could be better for 2 weeks. Could be a lot better, but it's fair. It's fair enough. So welcome to our new gold patrons, Pickett, Tom K, and Beef Pickle, absolute chads. We also got some new platinum patrons who are better people than the list I just mentioned. Robert B, Kevin W, and Old Dad DSM AWD21 change. Obviously, none of it made sense. Hate it. But I do like that you are a platinum patron and welcome aboard, Chief. Very kind of you. And last and most importantly, better people than the platinum patrons and significantly better than the gold patrons. These are people who have access to the Damascus Lounge, by the way, in the Discord. We did some renovations on the Damascus chat, and it's now a lounge. So every time you open the Discord and you enter the Damascus Lounge, which you can only do, of course, if you're a Damascus patron, I want you to envision that you're entering into a hip, modern, downtown Manhattan yuppie bar. Mm-hmm. Everything is very modern.
I'm thinking a rooftop bar where there's an outside area and an inside area to hang out.
It's got
beautiful sunset.
It's got the fancy ass like firewall thing that they do. You know what I'm talking? Not a firewall, but it's like a fireplace.
With the
but
fire.
It's not. It's like 1 inch thick. And it's like along a horizontal line, you know. Real modern, real classy, real swanky.
Yeah.
High-end escorts will frequent establishments like this to pick up on likewise wealthy clientele. This is the type of bar, lounge, I should say, because it's not a bar, it's elevated. It's better than that.
There's no beer. It's cocktails only. It's a
cocktail lounge. That's correct. Yes. This is the Damascus Lounge, and these people now have access to it if they link their Patreon accounts to their Discord accounts, of course. Tracer0331, change it. Jake, Lynch Toast, weird name, Dakota C, and Diet Diesel. Boys, welcome aboard, and thank you very much. We do appreciate all of our new patrons, patreon.com/thedropshot. Bonus episodes every month. We do hangouts every month. Also, you get every episode ad-free, and you get early access on all the public episodes. So if you're into that sort of thing, or if you just want to support the show, patreon.com/thedropshot. Also, for the month of June, so you have 1 day left. For June, you can become a free trial patron. So you can go to patreon.com/thedropshot. You can sign up for free, not spend any money, because you're a cheap free riding piece of shit, and listen to all of the hard work we've put into the Patreon and every single bonus episode we've ever recorded for that tier for free. No cost to you. But here's the downside, right? It's only the month of June, so you don't have much time left. If you haven't done it by now, to get on that or get fucked, or just sign up not as a free trial. That, of course, works too. That's in fact the goal. So yeah, you could do that as well. We're not shutting down the Patreon in July. We're just shutting down the free trials. So keep that in mind. You got one more day. Speaking of which, we have a couple of procrastinators, but they did get it done. I would like to, at this time, acknowledge our new free trial patrons. Let me be clear. I'm not thanking you. I'm not grateful to you. You don't deserve praise or adulation. This is just an acknowledgement that you exist.
You exist, yeah.
To acknowledge the free trial patrons, James A, Doc Sugg, The Pharmacist, John M.M., I don't need your full name. Unless you're a New York Times bestselling author, don't give me your full name. Robert B, Pickett, Legacy Saiyan, change it, Tyler H, Joe B, Boy P,
Joseph B, huh?
Tom K, Crystal L, I don't know if these are real names or not, and Kevin W are free trial patrons. I have acknowledged that you've become a free trial patron. I don't thank you. You haven't done anything, right? But I've acknowledged that you've gone to the website. So
yeah, congratulations, you got something for free from us.
Yeah, congratulations. You've gotten a lot of our hard work at no cost to you, I guess. Yeah, congrats. Yeah. And you should feel bad if you joined as a free trial patron.
Mm-hmm.
So just a couple of things to keep in mind. You guys are pieces of shit. Yeah. We should be shaming these people, actually, instead of acknowledging them. It's worse than that, isn't it? Yeah. You could have just signed up right away without doing the free trial hubbub. But anyway, yeah, you got one more day to become a free trial patron. It's going away in July. And you get all the access, all the benefits you would get as if you were a patron. So you also get, in addition to the bonus eps and the back catalog of them, you get the early access and the ad-free episodes as well. So just something to consider there. And it is the best way to support the show. Speaking of the Patreon, by the way, Tanner came back from swimming with the manta rays in Zion National Park. He was home, and we were ready to close out the month with our bonus eps. We were a little behind because, again, he was out of town, took a little vacation, and we did an absolute banger trilogy of Patreon bonus episodes.
It was a trilogy, yeah.
It was an exceptional trilogy. It was episodes 4, 5, and 6 of Star Wars. That's what they were. And the first one was behind the scenes. This is for the Damascus patrons only. We do a behind the scenes episode every month. It was fun and exciting. Tanner and I got very excited about exploiting AI even more, essentially. And that was a significant detour in that episode. But when we sat down to do the episode, we were both saying, like, oh, there's really not much to talk about behind the scenes this month. And we were actually kind of wrong, because once we started writing things down, we were like, oh, okay, it's kind of a lot. It was a pretty solid, long little ep, and I enjoyed it tremendously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're AI gurus now, huh?
We are AI gurus now, yes. Yeah. What were your thoughts on that BTS?
Good, yeah. It turned into... thought we'd have trouble even doing an hour, and I think it ended up being an hour and 30, hour and 40. I don't know.
I think it was like 140.
Cool.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it was really fun.
It was good. We got some good feedback on it.
We did get some good feedback on it. One of the big things we talked about is that we found on a whim, like just got lucky actually, and found, I tell the whole story in the episode, but I found a website where you give it a podcast episode, a video one, and it automatically makes like TikTok clips, basically. So it does the right aspect ratio. It adds good looking subtitles. It adds fucking emojis automatically. Like, it does it all automatically. And then all you have to do is just download it and then upload it to like TikTok or YouTube Shorts or whatever. Very cool. And we're going to start exploiting that pretty soon here. It does cost a little bit of money, so we might start doing little fucking fundraisers, little dono drives to get that done. And if you guys didn't give us any money to do that, then we'd do it anyway, probably.
We wouldn't do it.
We wouldn't do it. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So if you hate us and you don't want the podcast to grow, then when you see the donation drive every month or year or whatever, don't contribute to it if you hate us. But if you don't fucking hate us and you want our business to grow and to get us above the poverty line, then perhaps you should look into doing that. But anyway, the behind the scenes episode was very fun. The next two we did were for all of our patrons, our gold patrons. These were the Call of Duty eps. The first one is a collection of Vondel tips. This came out like 2 days ago, I think. And that was a solid little ep too. It was a lot of things that we've learned from playing a lot of Vondel recently. And we had a lot to learn ourselves, and we kind of learned a lot of these little tips the hard way. Because if you listen to our first impressions of Vondel, we did not have a great time of it early on.
No, we did not.
But then we kind of figured it the fuck out. And now, I'm gobbling souls on the water. That's me. I'm the ferryman. That's what I'm doing in Vondel. I'm just gobbling souls.
Got it.
Is it Vondel or is it the River Styx? I don't know, because I'm gobbling souls on the water. That's what I've been doing. And it was because of a couple of the tips we talked about in that episode. And because of a couple more tips I have for you, we have for you rather, on Saturday. But yeah, that Vondel tips ep was pretty fucking solid. Some good drop spots too. That we've discovered as well. A lot of good stuff in there, and we got some feedback from Jax, the Rebirth Assassin, who won the latest Dropshot. Or no, he didn't win the Dropshot tournament. We did, but he had like a nice little clip or something. I don't know. Jax is very good at Resurgence, and he also said there's some nice morsels in this one, so I appreciated that comment, Jax.
Did he?
Yeah. I think he said it on Patreon.
I was gonna say, I don't see it in Discord here.
Yeah, so I'm glad you found the morsels tasty. And if they're Jax approved morsels as a Resurgence demon, then that must be true. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it worked for you because I gave you all my tips in that episode, and the next day you dropped. I think you dropped a 6 bomb instead of your normal 2. So you were working pretty well.
Yeah, I was gobbling.
You can't say that on
yesterday,
YouTube, man. You're the one that told me you can't say that on YouTube.
Well,
yeah. So the tips worked out great for Raz. If they can work for him, they can work for all of you too. So that's the biggest thing. If he can do it, you can too. That's what I always say.
Yeah, we'll go with that for sure. So I am older than Tanner, by the way. So there were a couple games yesterday where he had one more kill than I did. Most of the games I had more, because I was again gobbling souls on the water. But when he does have one more kill than me, that's when we adjust for age, because I'm older than you. I in fact still had more kills. So get fucked.
Yeah, I mean, as we always say, a 7 bomb at our age is a 15 bomb for a 20-year-old. So.
Yes. For you 19-year-olds, 19's a little old anyway. Regardless, that was a good episode. And then our last episode, which is again available for all patrons, and you can become a free trial patron and go listen to it, by the way. So like literally anyone could go listen to these, not just patrons, because you could simply become a free trial patron and not spend money. Our last one, which anyone could listen to, was on the evolution of Warzone 2. And I believe that released this morning. Yeah.
Did it? Yeah.
Yeah. So that is available for your listening pleasure or viewing pleasure. We do them on video as well. And that was a spicy little episode.
It was too good. It pissed me off.
It was pretty fucking solid. Yeah. And it infuriates me that we weren't paid an extra bonus for having done it. Some might say the committee did send me an email, and they said, listen, we have a secret Patreon account. We joined as a free trial patron, the committee, representatives of the committee, and this has been nominated for an award. It might be an award-winning episode, and that's never happened for a Patreon episode, which I found very interesting.
I think we've had some.
It's possible. It could be escaping my memory, but it hasn't happened in a while. But we are up for an award. For this episode, the evolution
we put ourselves
of Warzone
up for an award, yeah.
No, the committee did, Tanner.
Oh, okay.
It's the committee.
Who's the committee again?
We've talked about this.
Who's the committee? Who's in it?
I've explained who the committee is so many times that I refuse to do it again. So
the committee's.
Yeah,
and I think
that's correct.
Isn't it too? Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
That's correct. Yes, those are most of the members on the committee. But anyway, yeah, we talked about the evolution of Warzone 2. And that was a really good idea because we weren't sure what we wanted to do for our last Patreon episode this month because all we've been playing is Vondel. All we've been talking about is Vondel. And we're still going to be talking about Vondel even more on Saturday, which we'll get into in a second.
Vondel me, yeah.
So we were like, okay, well, fuck, what else can we do here? And we decided to look at the launch of Warzone 2 and Warzone 2 in its current state. And kind of analyze, if the changes that we've seen thus far have been good or not. Spoiler alert, they have been. And then further, we kind of wanted to prognosticate how it would look into the future, further into the future. So I think it's it's harder to envision than you might imagine, because you can't really use the precedent. I explained it in the episode, but basically, yeah, we kind of looked at where Warzone 2 was, where it is now, and by extension, where we think it's going to go as we inch toward Warzone 3, whenever that's happening. And that was really fun too, because we were like, Tanner was watching Tim the Tapman's like first ever game on Warzone 2. Yep. And already we have forgotten so many things that were in at launch.
Yeah.
Like the 3-plate armor vest. Remember
I already
when
forgot about that. Yep.
Yeah. Remember when you couldn't put in 3 plates until you found an item on the ground? Because I had forgotten about that. And then we wrote that down.
You try to block it from your memory. You didn't forget. You were just trying to block it out.
It's a repressed memory. That's correct. Mm-hmm. Yes. So we dug up some trauma for you guys, went through all that dog shit, and then talked about things that changed. And that was really fun. That was a really good episode. And we're getting immediate feedback on that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was a banger, because the game has changed a lot when you look back at it the way we did.
A ton.
Yeah, it's changed quite a bit. You realize, like, oh yeah, it was a lot worse than it is now, for sure. So it's actually it's came quite a long way. Nothing real huge, but a bunch of little changes every season and every mid-season has put the game in a pretty good spot, in my opinion.
Yeah. One thing you had said in that episode, which I kind of agree with, is like, we've never enjoyed Resurgence in any form as much as we do right now. And I haven't had this much fun in Warzone generally in a long time. There were times in Warzone 1 where I was having an equivalent amount of fun, maybe more still, probably just because of the era and stuff. But yeah, we're both like really enjoying COD right now, Vondel, and it's been Vondel most specifically. It's been quite a while. So yeah, we talked about the evolution of Warzone 2, and again, that's live for all of our patrons right now. So you can go check that out. And then on Saturday, we're going to talk even more about Vondel. And luckily, our enjoyment of it is the common kind of opinion for Call of Duty players. It's by far the most popular game mode, I would say, among Modern Warfare 2 players right now. So that's good. So a lot of you guys is going to be relevant to you. On Saturday, we're going to talk about the Vondel meta and what it is and maybe what it should be. Tanner and I, yesterday I did a lot of the research I intended to, looking at guns that are being used commonly right now and then comparing them to guns that aren't being used as commonly that are really fucking good. Like, I found a secret gun that no one's really using.
Did you?
Actually, yeah, I'm not kidding. And I'm going to prove it to you guys on Saturday. It is, as far as I'm concerned, the long-range meta weapon for Vondel. I don't know about Maz. We'll kind of touch on that, but the focus is going to be the Vondel meta. And basically what we're going to do, so Vondel tips was like, once you're in the match, what should you do? That was that episode. Saturday, what we're going to be doing, public episode, before you queue for a game, you make a loadout. What should you make? That's what we're going to be talking about on Saturday, and why. So we're going to talk about comparing the popular guns to some less popular guns and seeing which you should actually be using and for what reasons. And there is a lot to sink our teeth into there, because the long-range meta right now is actually at a very good spot, and there are a ton of viable long-range guns you can use, which is awesome. I didn't expect to see that, but I think they're a combination of a couple small weapon changes, but more the health increase has really shaken things up, and I don't think people have figured everything out quite yet. They're coming around to a lot of them, but there's a lot more to say on the meta than meets the eye. And that's even obvious if you are watching streams right now. It's not the Cronin Squall in every single Twitch stream of Call of Duty players you see anymore. People are using the SO14, they're using the Lockman 556, Some are using LMGs, like the wrap. So we're going to get into all of that and then talk about some other guns that we're really not seeing being used. And I'm very excited for that one. I think we have a lot to say.
Yeah, we've tried a lot of them ourselves, most of them. So
I tried most of the things. Basically, I was looking at all the data, like TTK charts and shit for every AR and LMG. And then depending on what looked good, I would build a gun and try it and see if it actually functions well. Because, like, for example, the MG34 in Warzone 1, that was the fastest killing fully automatic weapon in the game by like 5,000 milliseconds. But also, the stats don't tell you everything. It was impossible to use. It had a ton of recoil, and it took 45 minutes to reload. So it wasn't actually going to be meta, even though it did have the fastest CTK of every full auto gun in the game. By a long shot, by the way.
Yeah, it did, huh?
So we had to actually try some of the things, and we're going to get into that on Saturday, and I'm very, very excited about that. So if you, be here Saturday is the point. Listen to that episode. And then last announcement, I know this has been long, but we've been gone 2 weeks, so get fucked. We now see kick activity while we're live. So before, if you were like subbing on Kick or whatever, we just didn't thank you. It's because we didn't see it, not because we hate you. We're multi-streaming, so sorry. But I have solved the problem, and I will quickly say I love Cope, Boogie Boogie, Nicolarific, Boomertown, and Private Perennium. Over the last couple days, you guys have subbed to us on Kick, and we appreciate it. And now, going forward, we will see those things happening. So thank you guys. Much appreciated. And if you're watching now live on Kick, go ahead and gift us some subs. We can prove it to you. Gift us some subs. Thanks in advance. And other than that, if you have a Twitch Prime sub, use it on me. I won't thank you. Not checking Twitch again. Fuck that website. But I'll still take their checks. If you're listening for the jingle, here it is. Usurper Dogheart with the 5 Canadian fake dollars. Super chat. I haven't played COD in years, but can't leave the pod. Love you guys. Minecraft main. Damn. That's crazy. I'll take the 1 United States dollar. Probably. Very kind of you, sir. Thank you for the super chat. And I'm glad you're still with us, even though COD doesn't have you. That's okay. Fuck this game. Sometimes you got to take a giant sip of water. All right, Welcome to the show. Today, patch notes, changes already in effect. So first up here, we had a couple little baby patches, one of which was on the 21st, one of which was on the 27th. I don't think too much crazy has happened, and if it did, I think we've talked about the big things, but let's go through this here quickly. This was on the 21st, Wednesday. Couple bug fixes. Nothing really I want to talk about there. This is kind of interesting. Warzone Vandal all modes. Circle timing. The first circle closing speed. Oh, sorry. My shit's broken. Hold on. Has been reduced. This, I didn't really notice this, but now that I think about it, it does seem like the first circle does close slower than it used to.
Yeah,
this
for
was
sure.
One of our complaints in our first impressions, actually, was how fucking fast that first circle especially closed. It still closes at a pace, but I think this was a good change.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely slower now than it used to be. So that's good, and we will take it. So anyway, moving on here. Let's see a couple other bug fixes, specifically for Warzone.
Finish all DMZ. Yeah, there's not much there.
Yeah, not much to really go over here. And then Warzone ranked play restrictions. I believe we mentioned this. Maybe this was in bonus episodes, though. It's all a blur. The KV broadside is banned in Warzone ranked play. F's in the chat. Although I don't think a broadside was ever good on Moz anyway, so I don't think this was necessary or a big deal. They also banned Dragon's Breath ammo for every other shotgun. So like you can put Dragon's Breath on a Bryson, but you can't in ranked Warzone. But you can still use a Bryson, just not with Dragon's Breath. Pretty weird change, but okay. We definitely talked about this. And then explosive ammo for sniper rifles is also banned in ranked play. So you cannot use a one-shot kill sniper in Warzone ranked play. And it's like the hardest gun to use in the entire game. In any COD game ever, probably. And they've restricted it. Don't know why. Not many people were sniping anyway. And now it's not possible to do. We've already talked about this, though, on Saturday. I think it's dumb. And I wish they would address
It was only the top
snipers.
players sniping and complaining about it. Like the top 250s. People in the top ranks. Other people just like weren't using it. It's weird. They banned it.
I meant to mute there and I didn't. Sorry.
Didn't hear anything anyways.
Yeah, it was only... Yeah, you didn't. Everyone else did. Yeah, it was only like a couple people in the top 250 and only sometimes. This just didn't need to happen. But again, we've talked about this, so whatever. Let's see. And then ground loot will be updated at a later date to align with these new restrictions. That's interesting. So anyway, and that's kind of it there. So not a huge change, not many huge changes there that we haven't already talked about. And then Tuesday, June 27th, 2 days ago, another little patch, a couple other bug fixes here. Not much to go over there. This was pretty big though. Vandal, ground loot. Perk packages added to ground loot and loot caches. This is true. Increased number of armor plates found in ground loot. This is absolutely true. And in fact, yesterday I played some Ashika and some Vandal. And I've been playing mostly Vandal. So when we played our first few games of Ashika, I immediately noticed how many fewer plates there were on Ashika than on Vandal. You find an abundance of plates on Vandal, which I think is how it should be, by the way. And on Ashika, it's not nearly as many. I was running out of plates pretty often on Ashika, and on Vandal that rarely happens. And if it does, it's late game, and it's because you can't move. But this is a good change, and I think it probably needed to happen. But there are absolutely more armor plates now, as just lying around, which is really good.
Yeah, there are a lot of loose ones now.
Yes.
Not necessarily in crates, just sitting around.
Yeah, just hanging out. Yeah. And then the tempered plate carrier was also added to the ground loot, so keep your eyes out for that. Perk packages are impossible to miss as ground loot. The tempered plate carriers are very easy to miss. So it's just like a brown, I don't know, thing. It's on the ground. It's not it doesn't...
It's a thing.
It's flat. It's pretty flat. Yeah. It's kind of hard to see. But it's really good, obviously. So, yeah, and that's now on Vandal, so keep your eyes open for that. And then they increased the number of contracts across the map. This is one of your complaints, Tanner.
Wasn't necessarily that. It's the fact we still don't have most wanteds, which we still don't. That's, I think, the biggest thing. Because most wanteds is, the best contract. It'd be so good for Vandal. I don't even know if they've ever mentioned it, why it doesn't exist, if they know it's a bug, if they intend on not having it in. I don't know. But it's an easy way to get a bunch of cash early, so maybe they don't want it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. We should check their Trello board. See if it's an issue that's pending resolution. Yeah, anyway, fuck Activision. And fuck the Trello board. It's useless. And then they list a couple of other little bug fixes here. Not gonna really go over any of those, and then that's kind of it. So nothing huge there. The Vandal changes were noticeable and good though. Having perk packages is awesome, and more plates is always good as well. So that does help for sure. And then moving on here, we had another little blog post. This is a Ricochet anti-cheat blog post update. So this is one of the few things that I feel like Activision doesn't lie too much about, because in their patch notes, they just tell lies pretty often. But for Ricochet, these have been pretty vague, and maybe that's why they are accurate. But anyway, we have another little progress report, as they call it. So let's get into it here. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I'm going to go over some of the big ones. Ricochet remains focused on combating unfair play and ejecting bad actors from our games. One of the ways we do this is by banning accounts we've determined are cheating. However, we've also outlined our use of mitigations, and we wanted to refresh the community on why and how those systems are used. In some scenarios, Ricochet may choose to deploy in-game roadblocks we call mitigations on accounts we verify as cheating. These are gameplay adjustments we can make to constrain the experience of verified cheaters, such as taking away their weapons or making legitimate players invisible to cheaters. So yeah, they basically let cheaters continue to play the game so that they can collect more data from them rather than just banning them immediately. And so as to not ruin the experience for everyone else, they nerf the fuck out of the cheaters so they can't kill anyone. Basically, that's what they mean by these.
I don't think they've
mitigations.
ever actually said this. Haven't we always just like guessed from a long time ago, from when Ricochet came out and they announced this? It was to gain information. I don't think they've ever publicly said this.
I'm not sure.
We've been saying this and like assuming this from the beginning, because everyone always says, oh, well, why don't you just ban them? Why don't they just get banned? That's the reason. We've talked about it a lot, because then they can gain more information on the cheat program, which then they can use to patch and make it so people can't use that cheat program, essentially.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if they've ever explicitly said that. Wouldn't be surprised if they haven't. But it looks like in this blog post they actually did. The technology behind cheats is constantly evolving. Allowing cheaters to remain in the game in a mitigated state provides Team Ricochet with intel while keeping cheaters occupied in the dark and unable to harm your in-game experience. Yeah, so basically what we just said. Yeah, I don't know if they've ever actually said that, but now we have confirmation. The data we gather through analysis of mitigated players enhances our ability to reliably detect and ban cheaters using similar cheat software. This all makes sense, and if the mitigations are sufficient, which they seem to be, then I approve of this. And it's like wastes their time a little more too, because
it trolls them.
If legit players are invisible to you and you load into a match, you might not know that right away. So you might be running around, especially if you're a cheater, you're a fucking idiot. So you might be running around for like 15 minutes and being like, it's usually hot at Hydro, what's going on? And therefore more of your time has been wasted. Instead of logging into your next account of the 50 you have, probably, you've at least been stopped from cheating for an extra 10 minutes or whatever. So I approve of it. It's trolling, it's funny, and it doesn't hurt real players. So anyway, they go on. Once they get the info they want, they permaban the cheaters. So that's good, I guess. Mitigation data shows our detections are doing a better job of protecting the game. In MW2, for example, we mitigated 4 players for every 1 report. Okay, hold on. Let me do some math on this. We mitigate 4 players for every 1 report. So that implies that most of their anti-cheat deployments are not a result of people reporting them, which was not true in MW19. If true, and again, Activision tells lies all the time, so who knows? If true, that is good. And I kind of do believe it, because there are still cheaters in this game, no doubt, but it is not as bad as it used to be. Not even close. So, this is not that surprising, although it is interesting. Okay, and then they say more. So they talk about more trolls they have. Active mitigation, hallucinations. So these are new things they can do to troll cheaters. Hallucinations place decoy characters within the game that can only be detected by cheaters that have been specifically flagged by our system. These false characters are undetectable by legit players, and they cannot impact a legit player's aim, progression, end-of-match stats, or overall experience, but they serve to disorient cheaters in a variety of ways. That's pretty fucking funny. That's pretty funny. This is one Activision department I'd want to work at. The Ricochet mitigation team, where you have to brainstorm, all right, what other goofy shit can we do to troll people who are cheating? It's pretty funny. Hallucinations. I like it. So anyway, there's one of them. I don't know. I don't really care, but whatever. Anyway, they talk a lot about it. It doesn't matter to me very much. Unless you find anything interesting, I'm going to keep going here.
Basically, it does confirm that it'll trigger their aimbot, though, too. So if, like, someone's, like, trying to spin bot, they'll spin bot and auto-lock on to the...
Decoy.
Yeah, the decoys, yeah.
That's pretty fantastic, yeah. So anyway, they talk a lot about it. If you're interested in that shit, you can go read it. But I don't know. There's not much to say. They're getting trolled. I'm cool with it. They've also removed a mitigation called quicksand. I actually don't care, and I'm not going to read this, but they were doing a mitigation.
I didn't even
now
know
they're
that
not.
existed.
And then how the game and security pipelines communicate. So they go into, I don't know, whatever that means. Again, I don't really care about this. Third-party hardware device detection update. This is interesting. So third-party hardware, by the way, is referring to the Cronus. That is what this means, and similar devices. And using these, I guess it's, I don't know if it's legal to use them or not. Because some people use Cronuses, supposedly, this is what I'm told. Some people use a Cronus because it has other legitimate use cases and not to do like anti-recoil scripts with it. I don't know if that's true, but regardless, let's read on here. In our previous report, we detailed a new detection for the malicious use of third-party hardware devices. Today, we want to look at the results within the first 2 weeks of the detection being live. So within the first 2 weeks, we saw a 59% drop in any use of these devices across MW2 and Warzone, including MW2 ranked play. Warzone ranked had not launched within this window. So my first question is, you launch a detection software, and then you say you detected 60% fewer than you detected before there was a detection software. How is that possible? What does that mean?
Because we talked about it. They don't, when you plug it in, it gives you a warning that says this is an unsupported device.
Oh, so 60% fewer people are just even plugging it in, basically.
Yeah, so they try and they're like, oh shoot, this isn't even supported. I'm not even going to bother trying anything else. I just won't use a Cronus anymore. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what it means. They go on to say, of the 59%, 57% of them did not utilize the device again. So exactly what Tanner just said. They were like, oh, fuck, it doesn't work. I'm not going to try again. Okay, cool. 43% attempted again to circumvent the policy, and they were caught, obviously. Repeat offenders and those continuing to use these devices without pause have been penalized. Malicious use of these devices may result in account suspensions up to permanent account bans. This is weird to me. I do like that it just warns you. Because, like, for example, if I play fucking Doom, which is like a single-player shooter game, I think. Let's assume it's a single-player shooter game. If I'm playing Doom and I'm dog shit and I want to use a Cronus on Doom, go for it. You're not...
Yeah, exactly.
You're playing against the computer. It's totally fine. Yeah, if you're playing a single-player game, totally fine. Cheat to your heart's content. I did the fucking up, down, square, triangle in Grand Theft Auto Vice City to get fucking tanks rolling through the streets of Miami
tanks,
too.
RPGs, yeah.
I did all of it, but there was no other real person I was harming by doing that. So if you're doing that with a Cronus, then, you know, good for you. And you shouldn't be permabanned if you forgot to unplug your Cronus when you went to go play Warzone. So I do like that it gives you warnings first and doesn't like permaban you right away. This is what I have a question about though. Malicious use of these devices may result in account suspensions up to permanent account bans. Well, now I'm pissed. If it's plugged in when you launch the game and it says, hey, unplug it, and you do that and then it doesn't ban you or whatever, good, like I just said. But if you then go into a fucking game and you're using anti-recoil scripts with a Cronus in a ranked Warzone match, for example, and you've been caught doing this by the system, why should that not be a permanent ban immediately on strike one?
That should be a ban like using aimbot, yeah.
It should be the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, how is it any less severe? It's not quite as good as aimbot, but it's pretty fucking close. And it's cheating. It's cheating in equal measure. It's just not as effective of a form of cheating. So I don't know why they're doing this. Do you have any theories?
Maybe they don't mean it that way. Maybe they just mean like if people like to continue to try to actually use it, like, I don't know, because they do go on to say later, like when the moment we announce the detection, cheat makers and cheaters work to find new ways to play unfairly, blah blah. So maybe it's like some people just, I don't know, even if it's plugged in or something, they're getting flagged. I don't know actually. Yeah,
it's weird. So I will say, I'm not sure why they're doing this. They might actually have a good reason. I think maybe it's possible you can accidentally be using a Cronus maliciously. Maybe. I don't know. I don't own a Cronus. I don't play on controller. And I don't fucking cheat. So I don't know. But if it is possible to accidentally cheat with a Cronus because you had it plugged in from your Doom single player campaign or whatever, then fine. Don't perma them right away, I guess. But if it's not possible to do it accidentally, I don't see why it shouldn't be an immediate perma ban. In the same way spin botting is. It's weird.
Because it makes sense that it gives you a warning, because it's like some 13-year-old's mom can go to Target and literally buy a Cronus and like see like, oh, it's a controller, like I'll buy this thing for him because it says like it helps you with recoil or something.
Yeah, for sure.
Kid doesn't know any better, so you plug it in, you're like, what do you mean unsupported device? I can't use this. What the heck? So that makes sense, because they're like, some people don't buy them, you know, trying to do something wrong. Whereas, like, no one's accidentally downloading wall hacks or aimbot on their computer. So it's like, I'm glad they do that, but yeah, I just don't fully understand the may result in account suspensions.
Yeah.
I don't know. A little weird.
It is pretty weird, but this is all very reassuring to hear and see. Mm-hmm. This is still cool regardless. Even if I don't fully understand what this is, I like the progress report here. So anyway, like all anti-cheat systems, the moment we announce these detections, cheat makers work to find new ways to play unfairly. Our detection methods and systems for this detection have seen consistent updates, and we have multiple methods of approach to identify the use of these devices. These, like all detections, will continue to evolve and update to combat cheating. And then there's an in-game reporting update. Oh, this is interesting. This is what must have been what Jake was talking about. Our security and enforcement policy has been updated to include malicious reporting. So I'm going to keep reading, and then I want to talk about this a little more. The Ricochet anti-cheat team and COD's anti-toxicity teams, both of those teams shouldn't exist. Or excuse me, the whatever, which both capture information from in-game reporting, take any purposefully false reporting very seriously, and we wanted to further highlight changes we've made over the last few weeks to our systems to combat a rise we saw in false reports. So why should this be penalized? You might be asking yourself. Well, this is Activision having made their bed and now they're lying in it. Because there was a viral TikTok clip a couple weeks, maybe months ago, when multiplayer rank play was popular, of some guy in the countdown to the match starting opens the scoreboard and he's like, oh, this guy on the other team, I think he's cheating. Hey, teammates, spam report him for cheating. So they all do it. And in the same clip, unedited clip, the guy that they're reporting just immediately gets kicked from the lobby because he got reported so many times for cheating that the system automatically banned him or suspended him, whatever, without having confirmed that he is in fact cheating.
Yeah.
That is insane to have that as a feature in your game, and that shouldn't be possible. If you get spam reported, maybe your account should be flagged for a manual review, or it should trigger Ricochet software to look into the account immediately, but it shouldn't auto ban you now so that it can look into it later. which is what it does. At least it did at that time. And it implies to me that it still works this way because they have to have anti-toxicity reporting measures in place. Because if it wasn't possible to get people shadow banned, even though you know they're not cheating, which was a problem even in MW19, really good players just getting spam reported in Ground War, and then they're shadow banned by the system, even though they're not cheating, just by virtue of how many reports they've received. So that's probably why they are doing this, and they're saying, hey, you guys need to stop reporting people too much, because if you do, we're now going to penalize you. Not because that's the end of the world, but because our system is dog shit and we want to continue to just auto ban people without looking into it. Pretty dumb.
Yeah.
Pretty cringe and dumb.
The thing that sucks too is now when I'm like pretty sure someone's cheating too, I do spam report them because I know spam reporting does something that it's not supposed to, which is it'll often kick someone out of a game.
Yeah.
So it's like if I think someone's cheating and I report them 10 times, does that mean I'm going to get penalized and maybe my account's going to get flagged for reporting some guy that I genuinely thought was cheating because of the way your stupid system is set up? It's dumb.
Yeah.
They created the issue.
They absolutely created the issue. And there are so many easy solutions to this. So one thing is, if you report a player, you shouldn't be allowed to report them again. It should just be grayed out. Like, oh, you've already reported this player. Okay, problem solved, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Like, how is that not the first thing you do? I don't understand. And then that wouldn't solve the issue of you and your friends all reporting someone you don't think is cheating just to grief them. Sure. And maybe you have a rule against that because it forces people like developers to manually review things they shouldn't have to waste their time manually reviewing. Fair, I'll give you that. But you need to fix your system also. Nothing should be happening automatically other than a flagging if someone gets spam reported. That's like your fault. It's not people that are spam reporting's fault. And also, like, if you're making content or if you're just mad and it makes you feel better, feels good to report someone 100 times in a row, and it's funny.
Feels great.
And also, if you're like watching a streamer, and that streamer spam reports someone, you might get a little chuckle out of it, you know? So if you're going to have that be allowable, then you shouldn't automatically punish the person being reported. I don't know. This is like Call of Duty's issue, and this could have been solved better, but let's see what they mean by this here. So, malicious reporting has been added to the policy. Knowingly submitting false reports or spam reporting legitimate players may lead to account penalties up to and including warnings or permanent account suspensions. In-game notifications rewritten for clarity. In-game warnings will inform you of a report. However, the original language did not clarify whether an action or investigation was taking place. The new language clears this up. I don't know what this means.
I don't know what that means either. If you're going to start getting a notification like later that day to be like an account you reported as under review or account you reported has been banned, I don't know what this means either.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And then automated penalties. By the way, automated penalties is what has gotten you into this mess in the first place. Automatically booting people from the fucking match mid-game in MW2 ranked play because they got spam reported. That automated penalty is why we're here. So let's add more automated penalties. That's cool. The automated application of some feature restrictions, such as voice and text restrictions, have been disabled. Oh, okay, good. As we adjust our systems. Okay, cool. So there you go.
This has been a problem since the game launched.
That's the problem.
There have been people that literally never use voice chat and they were prox banned for like weeks, months.
I had one.
It's been a big issue. It's crazy. Like it's just now. Yeah. So it's crazy. They're just now talking about this one. It's literally been a problem for like 7 months.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
So anyway, I'm not opposed to to malicious reporting being like added to the policy and punishable. I think that's fair, because if you and your friends all like report some streamer to grief him and then he gets shadow banned or whatever, like, sure, yeah, that should be well, if you and your friends are reporting people to grief them, then, or if you and your friends are reporting someone that you know is legit and you're only doing it so that they get shadow banned or something, that's Activision's fault, because you shouldn't be shadow banning people for just getting reported.
Exactly.
But if you want to have a malicious reporting thing where the only reason you're doing it is because you don't want to waste your own developers' time looking into cheat reports that are obviously not legitimate, that makes sense to punish people for reporting. Sure. But that should be the only reason that you're penalizing people for malicious reporting. It's really that simple. So anyway, they talk more about it here. Nothing really else to say there, but whatever. Not the end of the world, this whole thing. I just stop spam reporting, PSA. And then they talk about their continued commitment to fighting unfair play. It's probably bullshit. So yeah, overall, pretty solid little progress report, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, pretty solid little progress report.
Yeah, some interesting stuff in there.
Yeah, the Cronus thing again is like the most crazy thing, because early on when cheating was like really bad in Warzone 1, I remember saying it's absolutely possible to have an anti-cheat that stops or mitigates people walling and aimbotting with software, because you could just sniff their kernels. But I don't see how you guys would detect like a Cronus, like third-party software, because it's not a program on the computer. I don't know how that would be possible, but they figured it out, I guess, which I'm really pleased with. And it seems to be working, at least according to them. And again, once again, no matter what is true or false in all these blog posts about Ricochet, having played the game before and having played the game recently, I can tell you there are fewer cheaters now than there used to be. There are still still a problem, but Ricochet is definitely doing something. So kudos to them for that. So anyway, a couple other things here. At COD Updates tweeted on the 22nd, a minor update for Vondel Resurgence has gone live. Private matches enabled. Interrogation mechanic has been enabled. So interrogation, for those of you who may have forgotten, is if you down someone, you can walk up to them before you full kill them and hold F, or your interact button. And then your character like does an animation where they put a knife to their throat. And once you finish the interrogation, it will give you one ping of both of that person's teammates. So that's
and it gives you 1,000 cash, yeah.
And I guess it gives you $1,000. So you should always be doing it. Cool. Well, not always, if it's safe, obviously. Cool little feature. I've always been a fan of this. I don't think it's huge or like game defining or anything, but I think it's cool. Now it's in Vondel, so that's good. As well as private matches, supposedly. I don't know. We haven't tried, but that's a solid little update there. So yeah, we've confirmed this does in fact work, which is relevant because we have more to say here. So anyway, let's see. Next was Raven on the 26th. A minor update for Vondel Resurgence has gone live to reduce the chance of fog appearing during the match. I'm not kidding when I say the moment after this tweet was released, there was more fog than ever on Vondel.
They lied.
This is literally a lie.
Yeah.
Or they were just wrong. So what they did was they intended to lower the amount of fog on Vondel. That's what they said on Twitter. But in fact, they increased the amount of times there is fog on Vondel. I swear to God, they did not lower the instance, they increased it. Not only did they not decrease it, but they in fact did the opposite, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. And then the question becomes, how is that possible? How are you that incompetent? Because they wouldn't lie about something like this if we're being serious. There would be no reason to just like increase the fog and then just go on the internet and tell lies about it. They wouldn't do that. So obviously what happened is they made a change to how the fog works. And what they were trying to do was lower the amount of times fog would appear on Vondel. But oops, they made a fucky wucky, and there's now more fog on Vondel, and that's still true. I think almost every game at some point there will be fog on Vondel. That was not true before this tweet was released.
Yeah, it's I think more, not even is it more common, it's heavy fog seems very, very common now. That heavy shit happens all the time. And I mean, it's so heavy you can't see like 30 meters. It's that dark. Really bad.
Yeah, there's like two levels of fog. You're right.
It may be getting a little better because yesterday it wasn't as bad. There was still fog. But then this morning I played 2 matches and one of the matches had the thick, heavy fog in it. So, I mean, just fucking remove it, right? Make it like a 3% chance of fog ever happening. Then it would actually be interesting when it happens because it's
they
like,
should be as common as circle splitters.
Well, I don't know about that. Circle splitters have been pretty common. I had one this morning too.
I've seen exactly one on Vondel in like hours, but yeah, I don't know, maybe. Or just remove it entirely, like you said. Yeah, I agree. This is going to be another one of those things, by the way, just like AI in Warzone. It's going to be exactly like that. They're going to continually make it less and less relevant until they just remove it altogether. So why don't we just skip to the end this time and just take out the fog right away? So we're already starting to see it. They're going to start lowering the amount of fog and lowering the odds it happens. And then eventually it'll be gone. And it's like, let's just skip to the end. We all know where this is going. We obviously don't like the fog. That's why you're trying to reduce the chance of it happening. So why not just fucking remove it? It doesn't make any sense to me, but whatever. They get so attached to the stupid little changes they make that they refuse to just remove them right away. It's so dumb. But anyway, whatever. So yeah, they lied. That's fake news. So anyway. And then one more little tweet here. This is from a while ago, June 7th. They originally tweeted something, and then there was an update more recently. So originally on the 7th, they tweeted, "We're aware of recent reports regarding exploits on Cold War that impact a small population of players across all platforms. Investigations with partners began last week and are ongoing." So we talked about this, and this is a very vague tweet that they made, but I think what they're referring to here is where if you play Cold War and you kill someone who works at the NSA, they're going to hack your credit card information because you're in the same lobby. Real vague tweet from Activision there. But anyway, this week, they replied to that tweet themselves and said this on the 22nd. "A security update has been released on all platforms. Additional updates are in progress." So it may or may not now be safe to play Cold War and keep access to your bank account. Maybe play on like an air gap. What did they call it? Air gapped? An air gap? No, air gap means it has no internet connection. Never mind. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe buy a new computer and do nothing but play video games on it so you get hacked, I guess. Or make like a VM to play, like fucking Kit
Or just
Boga.
don't play Cold War, I don't know.
Or just stop playing Cold War. That's another thing you could do, yeah. But I don't know. I haven't heard anything about this in a while. Have you?
No, not at all.
Okay. So anyway, yeah. I don't know. Whatever. I still would not bother. I don't know why the fuck you're playing Cold War anyway, as Tanner just pointed out, but it may or may not be slightly safer to do that now. I don't know. It's certainly not worth the risk in my view. But anyway. Now, moving on to some news and upcoming changes. This first one is actually already in, so it should have been in the last section, but that's fine. Just happened. Hardpoint Reimagined for Warzone is a new LTM that is now live in Warzone. So Tanner and I have talked about this. They talked about it as well in their blog posts, and I think maybe the patch notes. Basically, it's Hardpoint in Warzone. And we said it looked quite interesting, actually. And it was reminiscent of the one Cold War game mode that I don't remember the name of.
Yeah, one of the fire team modes.
Fire team. Yeah, it was a fire team mode where there were a bunch of teams and like a bunch of different points that you wanted to capture. I guess this is slightly different because it's Hardpoint, so there's only a couple, I guess. But you said you played this a little bit, right?
I played a match of it, yeah. It's, I don't know, not very interesting.
Really?
It's a limited time mode, and this is how they all are. It's like, even if it's fun, you're just never playing them because you know it's going to go away. So it's like, why do I even want to play something that's going to be fun for a week, and then I'm going to love it if I do start liking it, and then it's gone forever. It's just like a waste of time. But I don't know, wasn't that interesting. You spawn in with your loadout, you have a team. You still have to like loot and get plates and all that shit. There, you can buy shit at the buy stations. They spawn munitions boxes, armor boxes. You just keep fighting, float back in, try to capture points. I don't know. It was whatever. It was fine. Yeah. It was good for warming up, I guess I would say, for Vondel, because it's very chaotic. Because it's in the circle is probably like being in like the fourth circle of Vondel. It's pretty tiny.
Oh wow, that's a lot of action. Yeah.
It's like say you're at Zoo, the width of the circle is going to be a little bit east of Zoo and a little bit west of Zoo, and then about the length of the Zoo POI. It's not that big.
Damn, that's pretty small. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
and then it's just, it's all people on rooftops killing you as you float back in. I don't know, kind of shit.
Yeah. Yeah, not surprising. One thing it kind of sounds like is and that I really enjoyed about Caldera was I don't know if this was an LTM or not, but it was in very often. If it was just the like team deathmatch on Caldera mode, and it was just two giant ass teams in like a pretty big area of Caldera, but not the whole map. And I really liked that mode because it was a good way to grind like to level new guns and to grind camos even sometimes too. I remember that was my favorite thing. That was my favorite way to grind weapon levels for new guns when I could in Caldera, was to do it in that mode, because you're shooting at people with plates. So you can get kind of a feel for, you can get a closer feel to how it's going to feel in Warzone, which is why you're leveling it, than if you're just like leveling it in multiplayer or something. So that was cool. But then this kind of reminds me of that. But yeah, like you said, it's an LTM, so whatever. Anyway, it's in, but there you go. Yep.
What else we got here? So next thing, another Ricochet update that wasn't in the blog post. They tweeted out on June 16th, which I think is like the day or the day before the CDL challenger Jimbo Kid got banned, by the way. Oh. Ricochet executed a ban wave that impacted over 1,500 accounts on MW2 and Warzone for cheating and hacking offenses. My only thought with this, we don't know how often they do ban waves. It's weird they even decided to tweet this one all of a sudden. All I'll say is 1,500 accounts being banned in a ban wave with a game with this many accounts is not that much. That means there are a shitload of wallers in this game that are probably not getting banned. Because there are more cheaters in this. People playing ranked say they run into cheaters like every other game now. 1,500 accounts across all these titles is fucking nothing. I mean, Tarkov will have a ban wave every 2 weeks and ban fucking 5,000 people. And that game has 5% of the player base is this one. So that ban wave is like nothing, so much that I'm like, why do you tweet that out? That is not very many accounts at all.
It actually, you're right. That actually makes me lose faith in Ricochet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm like, that's not a whole lot going on there.
Because it's like, oh, I thought you guys were banning a lot of people. Because this is like far less than 1% of the player base.
If they're talking about a ban wave, I feel like these are accounts or something that were maybe manually reviewed, not like an automatic ban from Ricochet. That's what I would guess, is maybe these were accounts that had been flagged and they researched them and they banned them all at once or something.
Yeah, that would make more sense. Because 1,500 for all manual reviews is a lot of accounts. But for a system that does it automatically, or should, then it's not. So yeah, interesting. But anyway, yeah, there we go. Yeah, shout out to Jimbo, that dumb fucking kid. But anyway, moving on here. As Warzone moves ahead with exciting new experiences to come, Caldera will shut down on September 21st. This was tweeted by the Call of Duty Twitter account. All Caldera gameplay, player progression, inventories, and online services will expire on that date. And then they link to a blog post telling us more. We've already talked about this a little bit, I think.
Just kind of a reminder. We did cover it. Just want to remind you guys on the news pod that
it is confirmed Caldera servers are shutting down September 21st.
Yes. Yeah.
So less than 3 months, yeah.
Yeah, so get fucked, I guess. Yeah, but if you want to hear our thoughts on that, go listen to the Saturday episode. So anyway, moving on here. Charlie Intel made a tweet on the 21st. iDub has fired one of their employees. Oh, I saw this. After private messages shared online showed the employee sending racist messages. So some person on Twitter tweeted a screenshot and they said, how ironic, at Infinity Ward, your member of staff, at the staff member, Britt Benny, I don't know, being disgustingly racist, then had the audacity to say it's fake after getting caught out. And then she tagged a bunch of people, including Swag, which I find hilarious. It's just a bunch of no-name accounts and then Swag at the end. Okay. And the screenshot of the alleged iDub employee being racist is of said employee saying in DMs, it's just like a tiny little screenshot. I don't know. I'd get lynched just like the oh my God, okay, I'm done, sorry. What's interesting about this, what's most interesting of all to me about this, is that this is a woman.
It is a young white female, yeah.
And you do
probably
not
in her early
see
20s.
Young white women dropping the N-word very often.
You don't see that. No, you really don't.
It's just not something you see. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's pretty crazy. Anyway, she then tagged Activision, and then the next day Infinity Ward replied to this and said the individual in question is no longer an employee at iDub. Get fucked. They didn't say get fucked. I added that. But yeah. That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild and crazy.
That is pretty wild for sure. Yeah.
There are a lot of interesting things you could say about this. Like, well, if they do their job well, should it matter what they say off the platform or like off work or whatever? And some people are like, look, I shouldn't get fired from my job for tweets I make outside of my job. And I think largely I kind of agree with that. But here's the thing. If you want to drop the N-word online, go for it. I mean, you're a shit person, but go for it, I guess. But definitely don't attach your account to the company you work for. Because now Infinity Ward has to ban this or fire this person.
And I want to say, someone in the Discord will know, I think she was also the girlfriend of like a pretty popular Warzone streamer or something.
No.
I can't remember who it was. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
That guy is not a hashtag COD partner anymore, by the way.
Let me see if I can find it. Who was it? Brit.
That person deleted their account, so their Twitter account, at least at the time of the screenshot from Charlie Intel. Yeah, if anyone knows, let us know.
Yeah, I think it was something to do with like a CDL kid, maybe. I think a CDL kid was dating her. Well, let me search Twitter real quick.
Yeah, while Tanner looks, I'll just add, I can't believe how fucking stupid you have to be to do this. If you work for any company, why are you like adding that to your Twitter bio if you're also going to be sending racist DMs from the same account? Of course you're eventually going to get caught. Like, are you insane? This is so dumb. And also, what an unfunny thing to say to whoever she was talking to. Like, if you want to be like racial humor or whatever, I'm all for it. Hey, if it's funny, I'll take it. Sure. But what she said was not a joke. It was maybe like a joking kind of thing to say, but it's not funny at all, and it's certainly not worth the risk. I just don't understand anything about this person.
Yeah, I can't find who it was, but I'm pretty sure she was dating some like CDL player or something.
Okay. Wouldn't surprise me. And by the way, this is a demonstration of the average IQ of the average Infinity Ward dev. If you do moral bankruptcy notwithstanding, this is a perfect example of the average Infinity Ward developer. is someone who would do something that is this obviously stupid to do. Because the people who work at Infinity Ward, of course, are dumb. They're dumb, and that's why the game released the way it did. And in some respects, that's why the game is the way it is now. Hey, guess what happened to me yesterday? Multiple times, actually. I got down to a precision airstrike in the dead center of a building. That was cool and fun and exciting. Jake and I also got down to a precision airstrike while we were both midair, and neither of us got a notification. That was cool and awesome. And that's because people with this level of IQ work at Infinity Ward. So I'm not surprised by this at all. This is the average Infinity Ward development studio employee IQ. It's not triple digits. Sorry. Oops. So this person's a fucking idiot, and they're also obviously a shitty person. So yeah, I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, funny story, but yeah, just thought we would point that out. So moving on, we got some more news and details on the Microsoft acquisition of Activision. That's a mouthful. So there's a bunch of tweets from Charlie Intel that happened over the course of the week. Microsoft versus the FTC heads to court this week. So yeah, they were suing the FTC, the United States. What does FTC stand for? Futures? No. Franchise? I don't know. It's a business thing.
Federal Trade Commission, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I said. So they're suing them, and both sides have filed a request to have witness from Microsoft gaming team, Activision execs, Sony execs, and more to testify. This case will basically determine if the deal happens or not. The deal being Microsoft purchasing Activision. So if you haven't been keeping up with this, Microsoft is trying to buy Activision, the publishing studio, and some people are mad because they think this would constitute a monopoly if Microsoft bought Activision. Yeah. As someone who plays video games, I don't see it that way at all. There are a fuck ton of publishers on Earth. I don't know why this would constitute a monopoly. This would not be the same thing as Microsoft buying Apple, for example. If that were going to happen, maybe you disallow it as the FTC, because that would constitute a monopoly at that point, because Linux isn't competing with anyone. But Microsoft buying Activision, I don't see it that way, but apparently people at the FTC do. So now there's a lawsuit against the FTC from Microsoft and Activision jointly, because they want the deal. Both parties want the deal to happen, obviously. So more details here. Microsoft lawyers tell the court today removing COD from PlayStation makes no financial sense, because that was one of the worries, is that Microsoft would buy Activision, and then since Microsoft owns Xbox as well, they would stop selling Call of Duty on PlayStation, and they would only allow it to be on PC, Windows devices, and on Xbox. So this was another one of the reasons that the FTC was like against this deal. And Microsoft's lawyers, I think correctly, have pointed out that taking Call of Duty away from PlayStation doesn't make any financial sense. They wouldn't stand to really gain money by doing that. They would in fact stand to lose money. The argument from the other side would be, well, if you put it on Game Pass, it actually would make you more money. Or even if you didn't do that, then if Call of Duty becomes Xbox exclusive, you would sell more Xboxes than you were selling before. So even though you're not getting the revenue from selling PlayStation games, you're more than making up for it by selling more Xboxes. That would be the argument from the other side. I don't see it that way. And according to Microsoft, they don't either. So that was kind of their argument. So moving on here, Microsoft says Activision has not released COD on Nintendo Switch because Activision believes it would not make enough money on the platform to justify development cost. So, which makes
people playing
sense
Switch
to me.
games are playing Zelda and Stardew Valley. No one's going to play Call of Duty on Switch.
Yeah. So they would lose money by developing it for that system because they wouldn't recoup that investment in sales, which again, I probably agree with. Why was this brought up? I guess PlayStation brought this up to say, like, see, they're not selling it on every single platform, so they're going to stop selling it on ours also. So you can't let it happen, man. I guess that was the argument. I don't know. I'm not really sure. But that's the only thing I can think of. So moving on, Microsoft's Phil Spencer confirms PlayStation is the largest COD platform and says they could not recover the player base if they removed COD from PlayStation. This is also worth pointing out. There are way more PlayStation players of Call of Duty than every other platform. It might even have the majority, not just the plurality, of players that are on PlayStation 4 and 5.
I think it does. Yeah. It is like way more. There are way more PlayStation players.
Yeah. So the fear that they would take it off of PlayStation or stop selling them to PlayStation, the game, and immediately just cut their customer base in half and then hope to sell more Xboxes to recoup for losing 50% of the audience that they could potentially sell microtransactions to is completely fucking insane, in my opinion. I can't believe that's even an argument, but I'm not a lawyer, I guess. So anyway, whatever. Kotick, Bobby Kotick, enemy of the pod, Jeffrey Epstein Island visitor, allegedly, by the way, in the Black Book, allegedly, by the way, has said, and CEO of something. I don't know if it's Activision or Call of Duty or Blizzard.
He's the CEO of Activision. I think he's the CEO of Activision-Blizzard, actually, isn't he?
There's so many, I don't know. He's the CEO of some shit.
CEO of Activision-Blizzard.
Okay, there you go. So that's Bobby Kotick, enemy of the pod, says, quote, "We might miss the mark. We can't deliver hits every year."
Yeah, you sure can't, buddy.
Yeah, I don't know why this was mentioned in this tweet thread.
This is... Charlie Intel, each thread literally had, like, I'm not kidding, like 50 tweets. Oh, so it was an insane amount of information. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, it was, most of it was incredibly boring, and I don't think people would care. I just think it's funny because he says this, like, we can't deliver hits every year. And this is what a lot of people always say is stop releasing games every year, unfinished. And he even admits we missed the mark. We can't deliver all the hits every year. But then, of course, they're going to continue to make games every year because they need to make that much cash at the end of the year.
Right.
It's like, yeah, that's what a lot of people tell you. Yeah, you missed the mark quite often, actually.
I mean, you can't deliver hits any year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway.
I mean, not once in the last minimum 5 years have you delivered a playable game on launch that wasn't bug infested. Yeah,
true. Yeah. So they're still making a fuck ton of money, though, as Bobby Kotick correctly points out. And then last thing here, Bobby Kotick said this about Vanguard: it was disappointing in commercial results, but I think it was that's exact, dude. My first thought was what you wrote underneath. So once again, Bobby Kotick, by the way, maybe past
he's 63
middle-aged
or 65, I think.
65-year-old white man.
Maybe not that old.
Who probably got a medical deferment for Vietnam. That's probably how old he is. Said this about Vanguard: it was disappointing in commercial results, but I think it was a good game. So let's just be abundantly clear. Bobby Kotick is not only has he never played Vanguard before, he's never played any video game before in his life, nor will he.
He doesn't own a video game.
I don't know what the fuck he even means by it was a good game. How the fuck would he know?
He liked fire on his screen and fire shotguns, man.
Holy shit, dude. He watched the trailer. He watched the launch trailer once.
Yeah.
Kind of like half-heartedly while he was threatening in an email one of his employees, allegedly, and said, "Oh yeah, I think this is a good game."
Yep.
Yeah. By the way, we called that it was going to be a commercial disappointment, as he points out here, because we were all done with World War II games.
What were they thinking?
Yeah.
And it didn't feel like a World War II game. I look back now and I don't think of Vanguard as a World War II game really at all, but they killed it themselves by marketing it originally as a World War II game. They quickly got away from that. Like the seasons going forward, they tried to stray away from it being a World War II game.
Yeah.
Just a terrible idea, yeah. But they don't know anything. They can't do much.
Indeed, they don't. And Bobby Kotick saying, I think Vanguard was a good game is the funniest fucking quote I've seen in a while. Like, what the fuck do you mean by that? Oh, God, I wish I was in the courtroom and under oath I could ask him, hold on, what do you mean you think it was a good game? What do you mean by that? Did you play it ever? Under oath. I'd love to see that follow-up question, but of course it wasn't asked. So anyway, yeah, great little gem there. So other than that, that is it, boys and girls. In terms of, again, changes and news, not too terribly much to go over. We are still kind of on the end of an early release, or a new release rather, of season 4. So, you know, can't expect too much to be getting crazy or changing fundamentally quite so soon. But maybe next week or the week after, we will start to see some more substantive changes, or at least start getting news on what the next big thing is going to be relating to Warzone and MW2 generally, and COD generally as well. Because pretty soon here, we're going to be entering the leaky season. The leak season.
Yeah, we're getting into the leak season, yep.
We've got our eyes on InsiderGaming.com, with owned by our good friend of the pod, Thomas J. Henderson. The
Thomas Jeffrey Henderson, perhaps the only reputable leaker in the business. So we've got our eyes on that. If there are any juicy leaks, we will of course be covering them, and we should start expecting those pretty fucking soon, by the way. And that's going to be a lot of fun to sink our teeth into. But, you know, in conjunction with that, of course, we'll continue covering this game, obviously. And next week could be exciting. So we will keep you guys posted. Follow us on Twitter at the Dropshot Pod. Our Twitter is exploding in popularity, by the way. So you want to get in early on that. Give us a follow. We tweet our schedule every single Monday, most Mondays, generally on Mondays. And it'll be our pinned tweet, our schedule for the week, in terms of live stream podcasts and shit like that. Reminder once again, free trials are available for Patreon, but only for the month of June. So check your calendar, get signed up, because it's likely the last day when you're hearing this. If not, it's over. Get fucked. But even if the free trials are over, patreon.com/thedropshot is the best way to support the show. 5 bonus episodes a month. We also give you every single public episode ad-free and early access on them as well. We do a monthly hangout. You get access to the Damascus Lounge and much more. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. See you next week, and stay humble. Stay humble.